You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com. You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com.
Hey, good morning. What's up, everybody? Welcome into College Football Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. Text us 865-658-5824. There you go. We got it. I about said my real number. That would have been bad. Jacob, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I'm tired, but I'm ready to talk some ball. And, get it going.
Heck yeah, man. We got a lot of stuff to cover, man. It's funny. You said the same thing Tim said originally. Good morning, Ron. Ron Sample in the morning says good morning in the chat. That's not what you said, but that's what he said. Tim and Jacob were talking last night when we were getting ready to sign off and everything. And Jacob was like, man, I really don't keep up with college football much. I don't know what I'll be able, Tim was like, I said the same thing. There is so much to talk about in and around the game of college football. It is insane. Like it would be really, really easy to do a 3-hour show on college football. There's no doubt about it. But we're going to keep it to under 1 hour here and just kind of talk about some headlines and have a little fun too, talking some mascots and stuff too. But nonetheless, we're kind of approaching this as if everyone watching, not everyone, but a majority of the people watching, you're here for Packers content, so you're probably not real familiar with the college football game. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of treat it like that. So if there's anything you guys want to talk about or whatever, hit us in the chat too. If you got a comment or a question or anything like that. But we're all kind of learning together as we dive in. I used to be a huge college football fan before I discovered the Green Bay Packers, and then it just completely consumed my life. So I had no shot of having enough time to keep up with college football the way I wanted to keep up with. But one of the things that's really big around college football, Jacob, is obviously the pageantry. The thing that I enjoy the most, it doesn't matter what game is on, you're probably going to get a really cool football stadium to watch a ball game in. They've just got the most unique stadiums across the country. High school's kind of getting to that point too. I've seen some really cool high school fields. But what I thought we would do is pull this off of Twitter. This came from College Football Alerts, which is a really cool account. You guys go give them a follow at CFB Alerts_. They said loudest stadiums in college football per USA Today. So here are the top 10 loudest college football stadiums in the country. You've got Tiger Stadium in Louisiana with LSU. You've got, I think that's Autzen Stadium out in Eugene, Oregon for the Oregon Ducks. You've got Beaver Stadium, which is the Penn State Nittany Lions Stadium. You've got Ben Hill Griffin Stadium down in Florida. That's one that's just caused me so much pain over the years being a Kentucky fan, Jacob. So many times we go down there, they call it the swamp. And when you go down in the swamp, I have heard horror stories about people going down. I don't want to degrade anybody who might be a Florida fan listening, but I'm just saying they say it is rough. Some of the roughest fans. They make sure they've got the reputation that you do not want to come here and occupy one seat in our stadium. Next, you got in the number 5 list, you got Kyle Field, Texas A&M. Then you've got Ohio Stadium. They refer to it as the horseshoe up there in Ohio State. Number 7, you got Neyland Stadium. I've been to about 8 games at Neyland Stadium, 8 or 9 games. Holds like 102,000 people. Really, really cool venue. They're packed in there, don't get me wrong, but really cool place to watch a ball game there. Neyland Stadium comes in number 7 for the University of Tennessee. Number 8, Memorial Stadium with Clemson. Number 9, Husky Stadium in Washington, which we showcased that a few weeks ago. Husky Stadium right there on the lake. It's a beautiful backdrop. And then number 10, I seen this and said, let's go. We got Camp Randall Stadium in Wisconsin. Obviously, they're in Madison, Wisconsin. Pretty cool that out of 134, FBS schools, basically Division I, if you will, that Camp Randall Stadium comes in number 10, even with the program being down a touch right now. Pretty cool stuff, Jake. Have you ever been to Camp Randall Stadium? If not, we need to maybe try to put something on there.
Yeah, I've been there, but it wasn't for a game. I took a tour when I just happened to be around that area, but I've never been there for a game. So I definitely want to be there for the jump around. That'd be pretty cool.
Yes.
I don't know, if the structural integrity, I'm sure they've measured it and made sure that that's cool, but it looks a little iffy, man. That's kind of a little sketchy to me, but no.
There's a video, I'm sure you've seen it, the first jump around. You sent it the other day. The first jump around after COVID when they got the stadium back packed. Holy cow, dude. That was just absolutely wild. But yeah, so there are your top 10 loudest stadiums. Now, listen, there's others. I'm sure there's fans right now going, how in the world did this not make the list, right? Or that didn't make the list. But I can't really argue with any of these top 10. You'll notice Kentucky is not on that list there, Jacob. So maybe there's too much bourbon in the stands is why they don't get loud enough.
Isn't Appalachian State's got a super cool, unique stadium, don't they? Up in the mountains.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I actually had it on here. Here it is right here. I'll pull it up real quick here as a background since you asked. Let me drop that image down real quick. All right, yeah, so that's Appy State. Now, that doesn't really do it justice. I had another picture. If you look at it from the end zone where that building is on the right, it's literally just buried in the mountains. That's awesome. So it's in a little town called Boone, North Carolina, about 45 minutes where I'm from right now. And it's just the coolest spot, man. You got to drive, like I said, the entire drive. Once you get clear of Johnson City, Tennessee, and you head back in the mountains, whether you go across a place called Shady Valley or not, but you cut through the woods and over toward Rome Mountain, you can go in that direction. And you just all of a sudden this little valley pops up and bang, there it is, man. There's Boone, North Carolina. Just some of the coolest people you'll ever meet over there too. Really, really cool setup. So yeah, the only problem is it gets colder than a well digger's rear end over there, man, when it's wintertime, because that you get the sun, about 3 hours out of the day. You can see there how much of the shade the stadium's in. But yeah, Appy State's kind of known as the giant killer, right? They've been able to knock off a ton of different big name programs. So I think Michigan was one of the first they did. And then last year they had a big upset as well. If I remember correctly, College Game Day was there. So yeah. All right. So there's your top 10 loudest stadiums in the country, according to USA Today. Now let's go by popularity by state here. This is kind of cool. You'll see which universities' football program dominates each state. And they did this by the data that was gathered by Vivid Seats. So obviously, whatever two teams were playing, if that ticket was purchased with an IP address in a specific state, right, then they give a point to each of those teams, just assuming, okay, it could be the home, it could be the away team. But it was pretty cool to look at this map, and we won't be able to describe them all, but there are a few that really stand out to me. First of all, by Kentucky Wildcats, Louisville, y'all can suck it. All right, there you go. Because Louisville fans, obviously they've had the better program, I think, overall over the years. But University of Kentucky Wildcats obviously still dominates there. There was a couple other things too. I expected, looking at Alabama, you see the Auburn sign. I really thought that would be the Alabama Crimson Tide. So that's pretty wild that Auburn is the more popular team in Alabama, even though Alabama obviously has had all that success. But Wisconsin, Badgers obviously dominating Wisconsin. Everything else is pretty straightforward. Obviously, Northwestern dominating the state of Illinois. I was kind of hoping to see the Wisconsin sign bleed down there into Illinois, but obviously Northwestern. I think Northwestern is just outside of Chicago. Am I right there, Jacob?
Pretty sure. Yeah.
I bet they hate Notre Dame because Notre Dame just swoops in there and gets all those Chicago prospects. So that's typically how that goes. So I just thought it'd be kind of cool to show the map here. And you could see up top there that North Dakota State up there in North Dakota. So I'm pretty sure. Is it North or South Dakota? I know that's the logo, right? I'm not real familiar with the program. Where was
North
it?
Dakota. Yeah, Bison.
Yeah. And that's where Christian Watson played, right? Am I thinking right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so there you go. Christian Watson on the map there. So pretty cool to kind of see who's rooting for who there. In Florida, obviously, you got Florida State down there. You got Miami down there. Florida Gators actually dominate the state of Florida, so that's kind of cool. So there you are with the map and how that lays out. Now, another tradition, obviously, mascots. This was cool. College Football Alerts tweeted this out. The top 50 college football mascots via Bleacher Report. All right, via Bleacher Report, I should say. Who's your number one? And they asked the question. Of course, everybody in the comments arguing, which is kind of cool. So, number one, Oregon Ducks. That duck comes out on the Harley and rides across the field. Have you ever seen that, Jay?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Donald Duck on a Harley, man. It doesn't get any better than that. Number two, I seen this and it said Grizz, and I was like, what the heck's that? What is Grizz? So I had to look it up. It's the Montana Grizzlies. And look at this zesty little feller here. Look at this guy. Maybe it's
Caleb Williams.
I think it might be this might have been what Larry McCarron was talking about.
So bad it's good.
They look like they slapped that thing together from just a local costume store and just put a couple. They go to the dollar store, get some paint. Let's paint, whatever money on the headband here. Absolutely.
The knees are all worn out. Why is his knees all worn out?
That's a great question.
Just saying, man.
I was waiting to see if you picked up on that too. I'm just saying, listen, man, maybe the program doesn't have a lot of money, okay? It has nothing to do with anything other than it's just been a while since they've changed the mascot uniform. All right, we'll just leave it at that. And then, of course, on that list as well, as you go on down, number three, which I think should have been number one, is obviously Army and Navy. I'm pretty sure they've got two different mascots that kind of represent their branches of the military. Obviously, that's always probably my favorite game to watch every year is Army Navy. That and Michigan Ohio State are two games that I will sit down and actually crack open a daddy soda and watch the whole game. Penn State number 4, Stanford number 5, Auburn number 6, Notre Dame number 7, Georgia 8, LSU 9. Michigan State 10, Ohio State 11, Ole Miss Running Rebels 12, Texas Longhorns got a really cool one too, obviously with the huge Longhorn that they bring out on the field. Hate to be his handler, I know that. Texas Tech 14, Hawaii 15, West Virginia Mountaineers are 16, Georgia Tech 17, Florida State 18, Colorado, Buffalo. They got another one too with the Buffalo that comes out on the field. Number 20, Wisconsin. So you get the Wisconsin Badgers coming in at number 20. And that's old Bucky there. Look at Bucky. Look at this guy right here.
I feel like they could maybe improve him. He looks a little scary, like the animatronic 80s kind of stuff.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking. It's like the old Easter Bunny photos from back in the day. The kids sitting with the Easter Bunny, they look terrified.
Yeah. Five Nights at Freddy.
They literally look demonic, don't they?
Yes. They
do. So that's good old Bucky there. As you go on down the list, I'm trying to think of who else we got. Here we go. We got Tennessee at number 28. And Tennessee, obviously, several schools do this. They've got a mascot like Bucky, a student or a paid professional dressed as the mascot. And then you've got the real life mascot. And this is a cool clip I pulled here of a touchdown in Tennessee with Smokey. And Smokey's a blue tick hunting hound is basically who Smokey is. And I think they're in the 8th or 9th generation of this mascot. So they retire them as they get a little bit older. But you'll see here on this play, Tennessee scores a touchdown and the flag gets thrown and Smokey goes all to hell on the sideline, which he knows, though, when a touchdown's scored and he hears Rocky Top, their fight song, which is basically a moonshining song, which is kind of cool. When that fight song kicks on, they run him across the end zone. So he kind of gets ready, gets fired up, but you'll hear, I think he's complaining about the flag. Let's check this out.
To miss anywhere. Here we go. Oh, flag on the play. Smokey didn't see the flag. Jabari Small with a touchdown. We got a flag.
He's like, are we running or not, boys?
We got a chance to get it. How does he know?
How does he know?
Yeah, so that's obviously Smokey, the blue tick hound, which those dogs don't look like much. Ooh, boy. Yeah. Hell of a hunting dog, man. Blue tick hound. Hell of a hunting dog. So there's a little bit of mascot talk. Any others on this list here, Jacob, sticks out to you? Anybody that you George Washington's kind of cool. I know that. But
I know that I see one that's not on the list that I think is the best mascot possibly in all of sports. That's the Long Beach Banana Slugs. You ever heard of them?
I have not, sir.
That's a real team. Yeah.
For real.
Yep.
All right, there you go. The more you know. Have it flash across the screen. So, good stuff. All right, so there another one too. I want to mention specifically number 18, Florida State, and their tradition. Got Osceola, Osceola, the old Florida State or the old Seminole chief, I should say. That's who he represents. Down there, people take pride in that stuff. They don't try to race bait and cause a bunch of division and say, oh, you shouldn't be able to use that. But Osceola basically comes out to the 50-yard line before the game kicks off, and he's got a spear, and he jams it into the 50-yard line. Everybody goes crazy. Really, really cool tradition there. So that's good stuff there. So there you go. There's your mascot talk. I think that's pretty much all that sticks out to me here. But they get the top 50 there. Obviously, Kentucky coming in at number 40, which is cool. But all right, so there it is. Let's move on now to some football talk, some starting quarterback talk. This got tweeted out by College Football Report as well. They did Power 4 tiers of college football starting quarterbacks. And for those of you who are going, what the heck's Power 4? That's your Power 4 conferences, okay? And I'll try to remember them here. You got the SEC, you got the Big Ten, which is more than 10 teams now. We know that, right? You've got the ACC, and you've got the, the Big 12, I think it is. Those are what's considered the Power 4 now, if I remember correctly. So they use TierMaker to talk about the starting quarterbacks and how they line up. So elite quarterbacks, they've got 5 teams here with elite quarterbacks. And I'll see if I can remember who these guys are. So you got Oregon, the Oregon Ducks, you got the Georgia Bulldogs, you got the Texas Longhorns, you got the Alabama Crimson Tide, and the Colorado Buffalo. So obviously at Colorado, you got Shedeur Sanders, which is Deion Sanders' son. He's one of some are predicting that he is going to be the top quarterback taken in this year's draft. Right now, others are pretty set on Carson Beck, who's Georgia's quarterback. So you see Georgia there as well. You've also got Texas Longhorns Quinn Ewers. Alabama, you got one of my favorite players in Jalen Milroe. You ever get a chance, Jacob, just go to YouTube and type in Jalen Milroe postgame interview. The dude is just like he's not overly energetic like Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston acts like he's on meth or something, man. That dude he's out there, right? Jalen Milroe just seems like this just fun-loving kid that he's built like a freaking superstar. Don't get me wrong, man. He's one of the most athletic quarterbacks in the country, but I really enjoy watching Jalen Milroe play. And then Georgia, like I said, Carson Beck. And I'm trying to remember Oregon. It's already passing me up here. I think it's Dylan Gabriel, if I remember correctly. I'm going to double check here real quick, but you got anything to add there as far as those quarterbacks, anything you want to mention? I'll pull up the consensus big board for us too, so we can I can quick reference some of these guys.
I mean, it's a little bit interesting that it seems like a lot of the Big Ten teams, other than your Ohio State, kind of have those more serviceable / good quarterbacks. There's not a lot of the more flashy, top prospects, which I know as a Wisconsin fan, that has been my biggest irk with the team. I mean, I used to be really into college when I was younger, all my teens and early 20s, but watching consistently year in and year out, them not be able to just recruit a quarterback that was a pocket passer or an athlete. The one year that we had Russell Wilson, we nearly, we looked like an elite team finally. And then it seems like every year we just get these kind of stick up their butt quarterbacks that don't really have a lot of talent. And for whatever reason, we don't get a lot of receivers that, Wisconsin's a powerhouse for their offensive linemen and their running backs for sure. But it's just not a very highly touted, area for a lot of the skill players, it seems like, to go, which stinks because I feel like that would be what would take us over if we could start recruiting some of those high tier quarterbacks and playmakers. I feel like that's what our program needs. But
yeah, so it is Dylan Gabriel. He actually entered the transfer portal and ended up transferring from Oklahoma to Oregon this year. So that's their quarterback there. And the consensus big board, I won't pull it up on screen, but I'll just kind of give you guys a snapshot of what the quarterbacks, how they rank currently on the consensus big board in the number 3 spot. Now these are overall just quarterbacks, and I'm giving the overall rank. Okay, so the number 1 quarterback is number 3 on the big board, Carson Beck, Georgia. Then you got Shedeur Sanders, who's in the number 9 spot out of Colorado. Quinn Ewers, number 16 out of Texas. Jalen Milroe, number 31 out of Bama. They don't have Dylan Gabriel listed on here for whatever reason. I'm not sure what class he's in. Maybe he'll be maybe he's projected to go 2026, or maybe they just haven't updated the big board in that regard. So that's those guys there. Now, if you go into tier 2, great quarterbacks: Ohio State, Arizona, Ole Miss with Jackson Dart. Let's see. I'm trying to think. I can't remember who Ohio State's quarterback is right now. Kansas. AFAM will love to hear that. Utah. You've got Missouri. You got Notre Dame with Riley Leonard. Tennessee with Nico down there. West Virginia and Texas A&M. So if you've got a great quarterback, Jacob, college football is very much like the pros in that regard. If you've got a great quarterback, you're going to compete, man. That's typically how that works. So you'll see, I think everybody would agree those top 5 teams are probably going to be in that top 12 playoff list. As far as top 12 teams qualifying for the playoffs, you're going to have many of these in this second tier too. Ohio State.
You know, in the hobby, it's not easy of being a fan of ripping packs or repacks. We always hype ourselves up thinking we're going to get some kind of a mint signed Jordan Love card or something. But with zero transparency on available cards and hit rates, it's all just a shot in the dark. That is until now. Introducing slab packs from arenaclub.com, the only repack that provides real value, a complete view of all possible cards, and clear hit rates for each one. Now when I buy slab packs on Arena Club, I finally feel like I know what I'm getting. I don't know if you saw the video me and my son did. That was us on arenaclub.com looking for new cards for my kid. Still on our YouTube channel. You should check it out. They have an incredible website. Slab packs are way better than mystery packs. Immediately after your pulls, they put your cards safe in a vault. So whether you're buying, selling, trading, or displaying, Arena Club's got the card collection platform that you have to check out. Right now, you can get 10% off your first purchase by going to arenaclub.com/packdaddy. That is a crazy offer. 10% off a $400 slab pack. That's $40 right there. Anyways, that's arenaclub.com/packdaddy for 10% off your first purchase.
You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com. You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com. You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Lips and Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Lips and Ads. Go to lipsandads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com.
A lot of buzz around him. This might be the year that Ryan Day actually gets over the hump and wins the national championship. Arizona, not so sure. Ole Miss, many people are down here in the South are picking Ole Miss to kind of begin to take a step in the direction of taking over the SEC. That's how good their recruiting's been with Lane Kiffin. Kansas, I don't think they'll be competing. They'll be competing. I don't think they'll, if I had to put my money on it, that they would clear the top 12 at the end of the season. Utah, same type of thing. Missouri's getting a lot of buzz. If they don't do it this year, they're probably going to, the whole coaching staff's going to get run out of town because they got a ton of talent. Notre Dame going to be right there on the cusp. I don't feel comfortable saying, yeah, they'll definitely be in the top 12, but many people have them there. Tennessee, it's looking like Tennessee, the way their schedule lays out, if everything goes as planned, they're only going to lose 2 games, and they'll definitely be in the playoffs if the schedule plays out the way people are saying it is. West Virginia, not sure. Texas A&M always competing for sure. So that is your top quarterback tiers. Then you go on to the next one, good quarterbacks. We won't list them all off. We could just kind of pick and choose here if any teams stick out to us. Nothing really in tier 3 with the good quarterbacks does. When you get to tier 4, like you said, that is where Wisconsin comes in with, and it says what, serviceable quarterbacks. Man, is there a worse compliment than serviceable, Jacob?
Yeah, it's not the best adjective there. Smitty was talking about here, which I actually did see this as well, that T.Y. Hilton's son just committed to Wisconsin receiver. So that makes me excited for sure. That was the first time in a while that I've been like, oh, okay. Let's do this.
We're going to hit that recruiting class here in a second. I'm going to make sure we've got enough time to do it because I noticed that as well. So at quarterback in Wisconsin, you got TVD Tyler Van Dyke. He's a senior. That's I've got my tradition lives on, the Athlon Sports Preview. I've been, like I said, back when I was a broke kid living at home, I'd go to Food City, or at the time it was the Piggly Wiggly, go to the magazine stand and standing there for 2 or 3 hours and take notes because I couldn't afford to buy the magazine. So, Mama, we made it. We're buying our own magazine now, right? So, yeah, Tyler Van Dyke's a starting quarterback, and then as the backup, they've got Braden Locke. He's a sophomore. So that's how that kind of lays out there at the quarterback.
That's funny you said that. When I was a kid, I couldn't afford. Do you know what Beckett's are?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I would grab like handfuls of my cards, like, and I'd put them in their protective cases, and I'd go to like the county market because they had the big magazine rack, and then I'd just grab a magazine and go around the corner and just start looking up.
Oh yeah,
what they were worth, and I'd write them down on like a notebook.
Right. Well, we did the same thing, and what we did was we took a marker where we could write on the protective cover. All right, here's what their price is. So like if you had like 10 or 15 cards you want to look up real quick, look for the manager. Jot that down real quick on there. We were nerds, man. We were nerds. We used to walk the tracks from Benham, Kentucky, me and my cousin Jason. We'd walk the tracks, the old railroad tracks, from Benham to Cumberland, which is probably where the card shop was. That's probably about a 3-mile walk, I would imagine, something like that. And we go down there and, have some change kind of scrounged up. We buy a few packs of cards and sit out there on the curb and open them and walk back home. Man, it's the good old days, dude. Back before we all had to grow up. But anyway, so that's the quarterback tiers. Again, Wisconsin, obviously there with Tyler Van Dyke, they've got them listed as serviceable, but in the 4th tier there. So not horrible. You know what I mean? Maybe they could put something together. That's where Kentucky's at as well, is in that serviceable category. So there you go. All right, a little bit of recent history here. College Football Report tweeted this out. Longest active streaks of AP top 25 finishes. Obviously, Associated Press. These are the teams that are on a top 25 finish streak. Okay. So Alabama Crimson Tide has now finished 16 years in a row ranked in the top 25. Obviously, they got a picture here of Nick Saban. Nick Saban's now gone. I think he's joining the college game day crew, which is going to be phenomenal, man. Football media this year, Nick Saban on college game day, or whatever it is he's doing with ESPN. And then I don't know if you heard, but Bill Belichick signed with Peyton Manning's Omaha Productions. So he's going to be doing stuff with them and Pat McAfee all year. So that's going to be really cool. Going to be a fun season. Second on this list is the Clemson Tigers. They have 13 straight years finishing in the top 25. Then you've got Ohio State, 12 straight years finishing in the top 25. Georgia Bulldogs been on a tear here lately. I think they're hands down the best team in the country, and Kirby Smart's definitely the best coach in the country right now. He's finished in the top, or they have finished in the top 25 7 years in a row. Notre Dame Fighting Irish 7 years in a row. Oregon 5 years in a row, Michigan 3 years in a row, Tennessee 2 years, Kansas State, Washington, Florida State, Penn State, LSU, and Texas all finishing in the top 25 2 years in a row. Now, Jacob, the way this is going to work, man, we've talked about the playoff scenario and everything for college football. 12 teams are going to get in. They're going to take the 4 highest ranking conference winners that win their conference, and that'll be your seeds 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they'll get a bye. And then the following 8 will just be a part of this ranking system where they're going to have a college football playoff ranking. It's going to be comprised of former players and coaches and other really prominent people, and they're going to vote on, all right, who are the top 12 teams in the country that qualify to be in the playoffs. So there's going to be controversy there the entire time, which is going to make it more interesting as well. We said this before when it was, okay, if you go more than 4 teams, then, like right now, the number 5 team in the country is pissed off they didn't get in the playoffs, right? As soon as you go to 6, the number 7 team will be mad. As soon as you go to 8, the number 9 team will be mad. That's just the way it works, right? So obviously they got it to 12 now. I kind of feel like the majority of that argument will go to the wayside, but the way that'll work is the top 12. So you kind of got these 3 checkpoints as a program you're trying to hit. And I don't know exactly where Wisconsin ranks. I don't know if they've got it in here. As far as Athlon Sport, they got national forecast 34th. All right. So they've got, they've got them sitting in the number 34 spot with the Wisconsin Badgers. So the way it works, I feel like you want to get in the top 50, then the top 25. And now once you're in the top 25, how in the heck can we finish in that top 12 somehow, some way, and give ourselves a chance to, obviously get into the playoffs? Do you got any comments, any questions on the playoff system? And to me, it's awesome because in the past, there's been a lot of neutral site stuff with bowl games and things. Now it sounds like these playoffs are going to be played on the higher seeds home field, just like the NFL. So the thought of like, if somehow, some way, let's say the Wisconsin Badgers shocked the world and they got in the top 12, right? And let's say they finished kind of high in that top 12 where they could host a home game. Could you imagine football in January in Madison? That would be absolutely awesome, bro.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean, I definitely like what they've done with the playoff system, and I think it's smarter to expand it and make more teams, because that was another reason that I kind of pulled away from it, because at the end of each year when we're talking about like the insert stupid whatever bowl here, like, you know what I mean? I was like, everybody gets a bowl game, then it's just basically whoever's the highest bidder is what they're going to rename it. Like I like the Rose Bowl and all that kind of stuff, but when it's like the Tostinos halftime AIC backyard bowl, it's like, dude, all right. So now I like this. It's a lot better. It's more
this year, by the way, they have a bowl called the Gin and Juice Bowl. And
no,
it's sponsored. Yeah, I
Is it
Snoop
Snoop's
sponsored.
in it?
Go ahead, I apologize.
No, I mean, you just made my point. Yeah. I guess I like it. I think it's going to make the game better, and I like the way it seems like they're making the college game a lot more reminiscent to the pros, with them getting to be paid now and actually be profitable in their college career, and how they can have the transfer portals a lot more open now. And I think that's good. It's weird to me though, because like, how bad does Alabama have to be for how long before they stop just getting the top recruits every year, just because it's just constant? You know what I mean? Like, I honestly thought about that. They'd have to fall off the face of the earth for 10 years consistently for them to stop losing the top recruits, just because it's Alabama. You know what I mean? Like,
here's what's crazy, man. And this is why if you've never been a college football fan, I'm speaking to everyone in general, now might be the time to jump in, because things are resetting with this whole NIL and legislation. They're finally allowing students to actually make money off of their own name, image, and likeness, which is just, it's still mind-boggling to me that the only organization in the entire country that wasn't allowed to make money off of their own likeness was the NCAA. That's just wild. That's why when it got in front of Congress, I don't agree with our government much, but when they got in front of them, they're going, what the hell are we even talking about here? Y'all are making hundreds of millions of dollars, and this kid can't sign an autograph and get paid for it? Like, what are we even talking about? It's crazy. So anyway, I think now is the time to get in. What we've seen with Alabama, first of all, the NIL stuff, I feel like is the reason Nick Saban stepped down. He looked up and said, you know what? I'm not dealing with this crap. Here's another one too, Jeff Hafley with Boston College. He literally looked around and was like, this is not what I want to do. I don't want to have to chase these kids around and just everything. There are no set rules. Therefore, there are some schools that are getting ahead of the curve because others are going, wait, are we allowed to do that? And there's others going, I don't care if we're allowed to do it. We're going to push the envelope and we're going to go get this recruit. So that's why Jeff Hafley came back, obviously, to the NFL. And I think he wanted to be at the NFL level as well and try to work on a legacy there. So that it's just, I think it's going to be interesting because Bama, as soon as Nick Saban retired, Bama lost a lot of recruits. In the transfer portal, they actually show that they lost more than they gained in the transfer portal. So to answer your question, or not even answer your question, but make a comment on what you just said, it seems like the way things are going to shuffle in and around college football is going to come down to how creative people can get with these NIL packages. Like Tennessee, they have a group of business owners in Knoxville and in Nashville that are pulling money together so they can go out and get better recruits. And that's one of the reasons why Tennessee has been kind of on the uptick here. But back to that, what we said about the Gin and Juice Bowl, Jacob, in case you think I was just joking about that. It's a legit thing, bro. There you go. So, look, by Dre and Snoop. So, all right. I wonder who's performing at halftime. Can you guess?
Yeah.
So, yeah, the bowl games are out of control, no doubt. But, it's funny you say that because as a Kentucky fan, it gives you something to kind of strive for and look forward to. I knew my entire childhood there's little to no chance Kentucky could compete for an SEC championship. But you know what we always saying? Just get 6 wins. Let's make it to a bowl game. Let's make it to a bowl game. So that's kind of part of the tradition of college football for sure. I'm with you, though. I think them playing, though, at actual campuses and that true home field advantage is going to add so much electricity to the college football playoff. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's shift gears and talk about let's shift gears and talk about some recruiting. This is really what piques people's interest the most, I think, is recruiting. And I want to just mention this. You'll hear us talk about different year classes, and it can get a little confusing for like a new fan. This is if you're asking like, okay, how do the recruiting classes work? I've heard you say the 2025 class, right? Many people think, okay, when they're hearing recruiting talk right now, they think, okay, so that's going to be a guy that might come in as a freshman this year. No, they're kind of recruiting many years in advance, not just 1 year, but many years. There's some, Jacob, where like Notre Dame is already getting commits in the 2026 class, 2027 class. In some cases, there are kids that as soon as they step into high school, they get a scholarship offer. It's wild how that's advancing. Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback who just got paid at the NFL level, he was one of those guys. When he was in 8th grade, people were already saying he's going to be the number 1 quarterback in the country. And he lived up to every bit of that expectation all the way through college. Now, obviously, he's trying to make a legacy there in Jacksonville, and they still got some work to do. Although, if I remember correctly, he has a come from behind playoff victory there 2 years ago, I believe it was. He was the last year or the year before. But another one, too, Matt Stafford was one of those golden gooses, Jacob, that coming out of high school, people were like, oh, yeah, that's the best quarterback. He's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft when it's his year. And that's how it typically happens. So, but what is early signing day for football? I just want to put this up real quick. National Signing Day for football is historically on the first Wednesday of February. However, the early signing period for football in mid-December is becoming even more popular. The blue chip prospects generally soak up the most attention on National Signing Day. So you can sign your letter of intent to enroll in that school as early as mid-December, but the actual signing day is February. So these recruiting classes that we're talking about, the reason I mention this is because these recruiting classes we're talking about for 2025, they may be a hard commit, and that's what this data will show, but they can still sign with someone else. They just got to be signed by, if they want to sign early, mid-December, or like we said, February of 2025, and that will, kind of set the class. So just wanted to point that out. Now, recruiting class here, highest recruiting class player average for 2025 so far. It says minimum 5+ commits. Ohio State number 1, LSU number 2, Georgia number 3. Tied at 4 is Oregon and Alabama. Number 5 is Clemson. Number 6 is Michigan. 7 USC. 8 Texas A&M. 9 Notre Dame. 10 Texas. 11 Auburn. 12 Miami. 13 Ole Miss. 14 Oklahoma. Number 15 is Tennessee. All right, so that's your top recruiting class. And I'm going to share the page here, and we're going to dive into a ton of information. Jacob, you cut me off. Ask any questions. If there's somebody you want to see, we'll take a look at it here, and I'll try to get this to the point where the ads are going to hit us. There's nothing we can do about it, but hopefully you can see it. Can you see this okay, Jacob?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So they've got, and this is on On3's website, okay, and they go by score, their draft class score here, okay? Ohio State 1 at 95.1, LSU number 2, number 3 Georgia at 92.8, number 4 USC at 92.7, Clemson 5, Alabama 6 at 92.5, Notre Dame 7, Auburn 8, and you can see how close those are right there. I mean, when you look at the classes between 3, you go 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, which is, like I said, Georgia, USC, Clemson, Alabama, and Notre Dame. They're all within 1 whole point here. Auburn 8th, Oregon 9th, Texas A&M 10th, Oklahoma 11th, Texas 12th, Michigan 13, Tennessee 14. So you see a little bit of difference between the list that we just listed out. But look at number 21. They rose again. And it's cool. You see that NIL average. That's the average amount of money they're paying in NIL to these prospects, which is kind of cool. So they come in, Wisconsin Badgers, at number 21 at 88.9, 21% in-state prospects. The average distance for prospects that they have committed so far for 2025 is 495.3 miles. Blue chip makes up for 26%, 26.32% of their class. So if we click on Wisconsin, They're 21st nationally. The previous rank was 22nd, so they rose again, right? And we were just talking about the Hilton kid. These are ranked by industry comparison, okay? Let me see if I can do it this way. Let me take a look here real quick. I want to see. So we've got status in. Let's see if we could just go industry. To me, this is the best way to do it. So it'll sort it by industry. So your number one prospect who's committed in 2025 so far, and again, it's a hard commit on June 13th. So this just happened 3 days ago, is Mason Posa, linebacker, 6'3", 210, out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. So that's your top recruit in the 2025 class so far with a hard commit. Next, you've got Jameer Scott. Let me go ahead and kill my cam too there. Jameer Scott, cornerback, 6 foot, 185 out of Cincinnati, Ohio. They've got him as a 4-star. Now you'll notice some of these other scores right here. You've got on 3 industry, which takes all of them and puts them together. You've got the actual on 3 grade, 24/7 sports grade, ESPN grade, and Rivals.com grade. I love that they compile all those together and give you kind of a little bit deeper picture there. Number 3 is Logan Powell out of Arizona, Scottsdale, interior offensive lineman, 6'5", 280. He is a 4-star with a score of 89.7. Then you've got wide receiver Cameron Miller, 5'10", 155. Boy, that ain't gonna cut it, is it, man? 155 pounds.
That's a small man.
You got to get some brats. Get some brats on his plate, man. You know
Cheese
what I'm saying?
curds. Yeah.
There you go. So his grade is an 88.9. I bet he is fast though, dude. 5'10", 155. Cameron Miller. That might be an assignment for everyone. When we get done here, hop over to YouTube, search Cameron Miller, and watch his highlight reel. I bet that's interesting to watch. Next recruit is Michael Roesk. I think I'm saying that correct, from Watoma. Is that right, Jacob? Watoma, Wisconsin?
Yep, Watoma. It's probably Roski or Rosk.
Got it. All right. So he's obviously a 4-star according to the On3 industry rating. Next, you got cornerback Rakeem Stroud from Tampa, Florida. So they're tapping into Tampa a little bit there. He signed on June 2nd, or not signed, but committed on June 2nd. I got to quit saying that. Remington Moss, safety from Fredericksburg, Virginia. They've got him as an industry 3-star, but his actual On3 grade was a 4-star. And he committed back in August. Here's our boy, Eugene Hilton. So this is Ty Hilton's son, right, Jacob? Is that what you said just a second ago?
Yep, that's according to M. Smitty here, but I think that's accurate.
Yeah. So Eugene Hilton Jr., all right, wide receiver, 6'2", 170. He's from Zionsville, Indiana, with an 88.06 grade. They've got him as an industry 3-star. However, On3 3-star, 24/7 3-star, ESPN 3-star, and Rivals.com actually had him as a 4-star. So they had him ranked a little bit higher. I have never done this. Let's click on it and see what kind of deep dive it gives us. If it gives us anything else, I'm not sure if it will. Just wanted to take a quick glance at Ty Hilton's son here. So here we go. Committed status, right? He verbally committed on June 14th. All right. And they had the percentage at 66.7% that he would commit to Wisconsin, 29% to Georgia. So they beat the Georgia Bulldogs out for Ty Hilton's son.
Have you ever experienced turbulence on a flight and wondered why?
And you can see all the terrain around you. You've got no issue with visibility or anything?
No, everything's PG.
Maybe you've sat on the tarmac for hours wondering why your plane isn't moving.
Well, we're outside here. They're saying the ramp is closed. They won't let us park because of Air Force One.
Listen in on the conversations between pilots and air traffic controllers on the Air Traffic Out of Control podcast.
510 declaring an emergency. There's smoke in the cabin. I need to make a landing right now on 31 left.
We have the most interesting, wild, and funny ATC recordings you will ever hear. Check out Air Traffic Out of Control wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
That's pretty notable, Jacob. If this comes in a couple of years, he's a stud. That you're starting to try to pull some prospects away from Georgia. And listen, when you start creeping into the top 20 as far as recruiting, like they have, I mean, that's when you're getting in that territory of where you can really amplify things in the recruiting game. So, I love personal life. Son of Indianapolis coach Ty Hilton. That's all you need to know. T.Y. I'm sorry, T.Y. Hilton. Yeah. So there he is again, 6'2", man. That's a big kid, sure.
Yeah, I think he'll definitely grow into that frame a little better. It is encouraging, like I said, to see that we are starting to get. We've always been known for getting, like I said, the running back prospects, the lineman prospects, decent linebackers usually. It's nice to see that maybe we could be a little bit well-rounded team and start getting some playmakers. Because then, yeah, like you said, if we can crack that top 20 and maybe get hot once and just stop, the Badgers are just kind of heartbreaking because they seem to drop some easy games that they should win, and they do it pretty consistently. And then even if they do seem to make it into any sort of bowl game, playoffs, whatever scenario lately, they just kind of end up being disappointments. But I digest maybe this year, or I digress that they'll just hopefully, like I said, turn the corner and take a step.
Yeah, definitely, man. Next, you got Brendan Anise. I think I'm saying that right, from Franklin, Tennessee. So they're tapping into Tennessee just a little bit. Let's see who tried to recruit him real quick. Wisconsin, Vandy, Austin P, Western Kentucky. So that's a lesser prospect for sure. You don't see your UTs on there. You don't see anyone from the SEC other than Vanderbilt. I'll tell you this, though. If you thought about going to Vandy, he's probably a bright kid. But that's a linebacker, 6'2", 205. Let's go back to that top recruit, too.
I was just going to ask about that, yeah. See where he was.
91 grade here, according to On3. And again, he's a 4-star. So the schools that were recruiting him were Oregon, obviously a top 5, top 10 team right now. Oklahoma State, another pretty solid program, and USC Trojans. And you can see, man, he's pretty much – Wisconsin ran away with it. They did something to really, really attract him. I was trying to see if there was any kind of NIL information. Let's see real quick. That's locked. You got to join Elite. So, which I need to do is just, you got to pick a specific team. I think Wisconsin will be the team I should probably do that with. So we will do that. We'll try to go ahead and get that set up here today so we can have some of that extra information. But yeah, it's interesting, man. They beat out Oregon for him. So pretty cool. 6'3", 210, man, from New Mexico. Might be a thumper here, bringing into Wisconsin. They've had some pretty good linebackers in the past, if I remember correctly, too. Seems like there was a couple here in the drafts that we've covered together, Jake.
Yep. They tend to have kind of more of those like lunch pail, old school kind of, I don't know, I'd say more typical 4-3 NFL style linebackers. What was it? Didn't the Lions draft one of them the other year, or somebody had one? They just seem like they show up and are consistent, and obviously, that we've been known for having some pretty good DNs as well over the years, Mr. Watt. So
that's right. You got to have them cankles to play in the Big Ten, man. That's what I like. You got to have it. So here's Jameer Scott, their second highest ranked prospect according to On3. All right, and let's see who they committed with here or competed with. Look at this: Penn State, Michigan, and Cincinnati. Now hold up a second here. This one right here kind of makes you nervous, because he verbally committed back in January. Now look at the percentage on their predictor here. See this, Jacob?
Yeah.
That would suggest they think he's going to flip that commit to Penn State. And these are the things you got to kind of watch out for. And that's why I mentioned the signing day. They could sign as early as mid-December.
Even Michigan's got a little higher chance as well, even if you look at that.
Definitely. And that could be something that those schools were a little late to the party. He committed early. And listen, I know people are going to bash prospects for flipping, but it's just a part of the game. Kids have the right to change their mind. Trust me, I've seen many prospects change their mind from Kentucky over the years. But who knows, though, man? Maybe Michigan, I don't know when his official visit is set up. That might have this information in here, maybe not. There's where he committed. So there's no other articles as far as that goes. Sometimes they'll show like when they've got an official visit scheduled. And I'm sure all that information is under this Elite subscription, which I will get. We'll use that. This is the type of stuff that we can purchase for the good folks that joined our Patreon group that, donate to the show on a monthly basis. These are the things along with the giveaways that, that's kind of the perks of that. We can get better information unlocked. So got to keep an eye on him. He may be looking to flip. Let's see who else we've got on this list. If I can go back one more, I think we may be locked up here. Here we go. All right. So your next one is Logan Powell from Arizona, offensive lineman. Obviously, he's a 4-star as well. Oh, yeah. Look at him.
Oh, no.
This is the stuff. And here's what's crazy. He committed on June 1st. So he verbally committed to Wisconsin on June 1st, according to this. And it's showing a 40.7% of him going to Bama, and now they've got Wisconsin at 1%. So
less than 1%.
Yeah, it sounds like Bama came swooping in and said, "Oh yeah, they got that big hog molly up there, 6'5", 280 out of Arizona. Wisconsin's trying to drag him up north. Let's go ahead and snatch him up." So keep an eye on that one as well. So you could see, like, with this recruiting class, until we get to February, things can really shuffle around. And what's awesome is these are seniors in high school, guys. So if you find yourself like near Watoma in Wisconsin, I don't know, is that close to you at all, Jacob, or any, do you know where Watoma is roughly in the state?
Yeah, it's probably about 3 hours away.
Okay. So if you guys find yourself, you go, oh man, I'm, 30 minutes from Watoma, go out there and watch Michael, would you say Roeske?
Yeah, Roski or Roski.
Okay. So he obviously is committed to Wisconsin right now verbally. He did that on November 12th of last year, so a long time ago. They're still in the lead at 59.4%, but Notre Dame in second there at 15.4%. So this is what I like to do in the state of Tennessee. I'll find prospects that are ranked kind of high in my area. Me and Mandy will take a Friday night and go watch that team play. This was before her nephew started playing ball. It's his senior year, so we'll be doing that this year and then get back to the old way of what we were doing. But anyway, keep an eye on him, although you feel pretty good about Michael Roeske, offensive tackle from Watoma, 6'7", Jacob. What are they feeding these kids, bro?
That's a big one. Yeah, I just looked it up on my phone, and it'd be about 3.5 hours for me, 180 miles. So
no excuses, Jacob.
Yeah. It's probably closer for Tim. Tim can go check him out.
Yeah, let's put that on Tim. Tim, there's your assignment. We could say Tim on assignment, right?
Oh, yeah, that's definitely closer to Tim.
There you go. All right, so the next prospect that we're talking about is Cameron Miller, wide receiver from New Jersey, from Atco, New Jersey. He's a 4-star according to the On3 industry ranking. When you look at who's after him, he committed on May 15th, so a little more recent. They've got him predicted 62.8% to Wisconsin, but the Kentucky Wildcats are in second at 34.3%. Now, they did a series of their camps last weekend, if I remember correctly. And the way that works is they'll have these football camps where they invite all the prospects in, and they come in. It's not the quote-unquote official visit, to the best of my knowledge. They'll come in and perform in these camps and just meet other prospects and kind of network with the coaches and stuff, and that's where they'll try to put the pitch on them. So you got all these camps going. Like Notre Dame right now, if I were to find Notre Dame, I think we pretty much looked at Wisconsin extensively there. If I go to Notre Dame, I'll be able to remember these names. And there's a couple of guys. Deuce Knight's one that I think Bama's after. No, Ole Miss. Ole Miss is after him. So Notre Dame, he committed to Notre Dame on September 18th of 2023. He's a quarterback, by the way. Deuce Knight, quarterback, 6'4", 208 out of Mississippi. Ole Miss is like putting all over their social media. Yeah, he's homesick. Yeah, we got a visit set up with him, blah, blah, blah. Notre Dame's still in the lead, but it's funny listening to Notre Dame fans calling on these talk on these podcasts, like scared to death they're going to lose Deuce Knight. Although they already signed a quarterback in the 2026 class, it's going to be phenomenal too. But here's Will Black. There was another one too. Ivan Taylor might have been it. Was it Ivan Taylor or Dallas Golden? Let's go to Ivan Taylor real quick, and let's see what their recruiting looks like. So no, yeah, he's pretty much, it's done. He already said, all right, Ivan Taylor's going to Notre Dame. It's 99% as a predictor, so that's a good sign. I think it might have been Dallas Golden. Somebody's taking a visit to Bama. I can't remember who it was. Oh, Lord, look at Florida State swooping in here, Jacob. Florida State about to take Dallas Golden. He's a safety prospect, 6', 182 out of Tampa, Florida. Of course, if I could choose between Notre Dame and Florida, and I was from Florida, probably picking Florida State there. So Florida State in the running there. So it's just cool to kind of look at some of these prospects and see, okay, how committed are they actually? And if we were to back all the way up, since we've already covered, like I said, Wisconsin pretty good here. If we back up, we should be able to go to the overall prospect ratings. Maybe not. Anything you want to add there, Jacob, from that as I try to get this pulled up, man?
Not really. I did pull up some Cameron, what's his face's highlights. He's quick. He's twitchy. He plays some defense too, which is kind of interesting. So
nice. Yeah, they've got a ton of information and all the stuff you can dive into with these players, man. all over YouTube, and it's free. That's what's wild. Sometimes, if you have some extra time, you can just go and hop on and look at some of these top prospects. I don't know. It's just a good way to pass some time. Let me see if I can get this zoomed in where you guys can see it a little bit better. I want to look at these top prospects and see if any of them are shifting around, because we're talking about these top classes anyway, and then we'll wrap this big bear up. We're at the 50. This is what I'm talking about. We're at the 51-minute mark, bro. Flew by. So the number one prospect in the country, obviously committed to LSU. It seems like that battle is all but done. David Sanders Jr. in a tight race between he's an offensive tackle, is in a tight race between Tennessee and Georgia.
You know what we should do, Clayton, for the next show, just so I don't forget it? We should go back a number, like pick however many years, and we should try to see if the top recruits in any said given year ended up panning out to the college level or even the pro level, and try to maybe see where the projection of these actual top recruits, how often they actually hit and land and become like longtime career type guys. That'd be fun.
Yeah, we actually did that a few weeks ago, and it was a lot
of
fun. Which, no, I'm saying we can do it right now. We got 8 minutes. We can go rapid fire. Give me a year. Give me a year that you would like to see. All right, who were the top recruits in that year?
Let's go to like 2018.
Check this out. When was Rashawn Gary drafted? Was it 20?
I was trying to think of. Yeah, okay. I want to see. Okay, wow.
Look at that. I think it was 2019. Whenever it was, Rashawn Gary was at the time. Now maybe something changed here, but he was literally the top prospect. What year was it? So it wasn't 2018. It must have changed. So we ported that one day. Think about it. How old is Gary? When was Gary a rookie, man? When did they draft him? Because they drafted him. Goody drafted Gary, right?
I'm pretty sure. Was it 2019, I guess.
I know we looked at it the other day and they had him listed. Now it could have been a different ranking, but they had him listed as the top prospect. But yeah, so and again, this is what am I doing? It's not when they're drafted. It'd be 4 years before.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I'm lost here. I just had a brain fart. I'm more confused than the fart in the fan factory. There we go.
There he is.
2016, John Gary. He dominated, dude, at every level of football. And when he went to Michigan, everybody's like, his stats don't look good. I'm telling you, man, they had him playing that 1-3 tech and being very unselfish and playing the run more than the pass on the interior. And I asked my buddy, my buddy, I've talked about this before. Gosh, what's his name? Jeremy Henry, that lives in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. He's a big Michigan fan. And I asked him, I said, well, who's this Rashawn Gary? Do tell me about him. He, you got a stud. And I'm like, I'm looking at the numbers, bro. How can you say it's how they used him? He laid it all out. He's in a 1-3 tech the majority of the time, but the way they had him play, he was not being aggressive, rushing the quarterback. He was playing very unselfish. He said, Clayton, this dude is an absolute dog. I was like, all right, we'll see. Sure enough, man, a couple of years in the NFL. Bang, there you go. A couple other guys in that class was Dexter Lawrence. We talked about that. Greg Little played a little bit of time. Obviously,
Ed Oliver.
Yeah, there's Ed Oliver. Look
Bosa.
Bosa, number 7. So when people see these rankings, are they really that good? There's some you can draw some parallels for sure. Let's go to 2017. We'll just climb through real quick. Jalen Phillips, obviously, I think he ended up playing at Notre Dame, I believe. There's Najee Harris, Alex Leatherwood. I don't know who or where that dude is, but he looks like a monster. 6'6", 322.
I'm pretty sure he's a starter somewhere. I can't remember where, but yeah.
Cam Akers. There you go. Yeah. Jeff Okuda, he kind of busted out, obviously, in a bad way, not a good way. Yeah. Let's see who else we got here. That's pretty much it. There's Sean Wade, cornerback. I think he spent some time in the league. So that class, a little bit weaker there, right? Wouldn't you say at the top anyway, top 10?
Definitely.
All right, let's go 2018. 2018, Trevor Lawrence, number 1 prospect in the country. I know people like to dog on Lawrence, and they say, okay, no, he's not worth the money they paid. That's the market, first of all, right? The second thing is he was the top prospect in high school. It's the quarterback everyone talked about. When he was a freshman in high school, like, oh, this is the kid that's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. He's got everything. Like, and what did he do, Jacob? He ended up going, getting highly recruited. He was the number 1 recruit in the country. He goes to Clemson, wins at least 1, maybe 2 national titles. I mean, they absolutely dominated at Clemson. Then he gets taken number 1 overall in the draft. And now you go, well, I don't think he's worth it. They just paid him top quarterback money, I'm not going to sit here and say, no, man, he ain't worth it. Every level in which he's played at, someone has seen something in him like this dude is the real deal. So maybe there's something that we're missing in Jacksonville that hasn't quite come together yet. I don't know. But look at the number 2 prospect, Jay.
I know that guy.
Yeah, he looks like a kick returner.
He sold me a car the other day.
Yeah. So the number 2 prospect in 2018 was Justin Fields out of Kennesaw, Georgia. What if he goes to Pittsburgh? What if Russell struggles and they put him in and he just absolutely dominates, Jacob? Am I the only one that's a Justin Fields fan all of a sudden? Like I want him to succeed so bad in Pittsburgh just to make the Bears look that much worse. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. Look at number 5 here.
Oof.
Yeah. Now he's from. Notice that I just said my buddy Jeremy that lives in Harrisburg. I remember him talking about Micah Parsons. You know what he said about Micah Parsons? I was like, man, this Micah Parsons kid's from your hometown, ain't you? He's a prick. That's what he said. He said couldn't stand him. He's just a bad attitude type of guy. And I was going, really? He doesn't seem like that at the NFL level, but evidently he had a little bit of a reputation back home. Nonetheless, he made it. There's Patrick
Surtain.
Yeah.
Yep.
Patrick Surtain. Let's see who else we got on this list in the top 10. KJ Henry, I know he made it.
Petit Ferrer, I know he plays somewhere, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Tyson Campbell's definitely in the league. I remember hearing that. So, all right, let's go to 2019. Nolan Smith, linebacker. Yeah.
Thibodeau, Evan Neal. Yeah.
That's a pretty good little class.
Stingley.
Yep. Yeah. Darnell Wright starts right tackle for the Bears.
Jackson Hill.
That sounds familiar. Trey Sanders. All right, so you got a few of them there in the top 10 in 2019. 2020, Brian Breesy. Yeah, he made it to the league. I remember hearing that name too. I don't know if it's been any good. Bryce Young, number 2 prospect in the country, obviously ends up being the number 1 overall pick, just like Trevor Lawrence there, right? You see someone that's just highly recruited that's succeeded at all levels. Now you're waiting to see him really put it together at the NFL level. Let's see who else here. Garvin Dexter, Miles Murphy.
Johnson.
Yeah, Broderick Jones, Paris Johnson Jr. So kind of cool, man, to go back and look at these guys. So Quinn Ewers was
dude.
Does he not look like he's related to Joe Dirt?
Yeah, he does.
I'm telling you, I can take you to my hometown in Harlan County, Kentucky, and introduce you to 5 people that look just like this guy. Quinn. I'm just telling you. So obviously he was the number 1 prospect in 2021. Spent many years at the college level, and again, he's one of the top-rated quarterbacks in the country. Now, you notice he committed to Ohio State, right, and enrolled there. And then obviously he's moved around. Now he's at Texas chasing that NIL in the portal and all that. J.C. Latham just got drafted this past year, right? Yeah. Where did J.C. Latham go? Do you remember?
I thought he went to the Chargers.
Might have been. I know they got Joe Alt.
Oh, maybe that's what I was thinking.
I can't remember where Latham went. Maybe he went to the Giants or something. Anyway, he got drafted really high, so top prospect. So you see some of these guys are just now in the league. There's Caleb Williams, was the number 7 prospect in the country. He committed and signed at Oklahoma. Obviously, ended up chasing.
Titans got J.C. Latham.
What's that?
Titans got Latham.
That's all right. Got it. Tennessee Titans. Got it. Leonard Taylor, man. Has Leonard Taylor's finally signed with someone, right? Because remember we were talking about he was real high on our draft board, and he dropped out of sight. We need to figure out who signed him. And I know on my draft board here, let me see where he's at. Because I had him really high. He was the 8th best interior defensive lineman prospect on my board. And there was probably – he was 8th, and there's probably – my goodness, how many people? Probably got over 20 interior defensive linemen on my top board here. So, did you figure out where he went, Jacob? Are you looking that up or not?
I'm trying to find it, yeah.
But somebody signed him. If you'll just put Leonard Taylor signs in the old Google machine, that'll probably pull it up. But he was the number 8 prospect in the country, man. I'm wondering what happened there, if there's an injury or something off the field or what. But
it looks like the Jets got him.
There you go. Okay. Watch that name, because if it's not a commitment thing, if it's not a, hey, he's not taking it serious thing, or there's not legal issues or something like that, like a bad attitude, I expect him to come out and everybody be like, dang, this Leonard Taylor guy can play, because his tape was really good at Miami. Then Dallas Turner was the number 9, and then Amarius Mims, number 10 in that class there as well. Let's see if there's anybody from 2022 who's made it to the league yet. I doubt it.
It's Travis Hunter.
Yeah, Travis Hunter's about to get – I'm telling you, man, he's about to get paid. That dude is – he's something else. Let's see if there's anybody else here. Nobody is there. All right, so, yeah, we're pretty much up to date there with the 2022 class. So you see as early as 2021, obviously you got prospects in the league. So good stuff, man. I'm glad you bring that up again because, like I said, me and Tim did that the other day, and it's a lot of fun to kind of go back and see. All right, how did these guys? Where did they rank nationally, and where they're at now? And is it worth? No, that was the other thing I was going to do. I wish I hadn't closed it out, but I wanted to see where Jordan Love was because I'm pretty sure Jordan Love was a 3-star prospect, if I remember correctly. It's going to drive me crazy if I don't pull it up. I'm going to go back and try to pull it up. I'm trying to think of what year that would have been because he did come out early, didn't he? So let me look that up. Anything else you want to add there? Anything in the chat at all? I don't know. Sing a song, do something. We're gonna figure out where Jordan Love was here.
Yeah, Ron's got a comment there. It says the NIL is starting to control all the top recruits. If I was a top recruit, I'd pay for the highest bidder. I think Clayton kind of talked about that, how there's a lot of groups and organizations and stuff like that is starting to funnel money, which, I kind of agree with it. At the same time, I kind of hate it. It feels like lobbyists, kind of thing, but and just money talks, but that's the game they're playing now. So
yeah, that's definitely the game they're playing. There's no doubt about that, man. They're getting serious with it too. Like they're getting really creative now with the NIL. The teams are going to begin. The teams are going to begin doing like a set NIL amount, but there's no way they can prevent these other organizations, these other groups, from trying to get these guys. So. Yeah, it's I can't get this to pull up the way I want to. I was trying to go back and look at the entire quarterback class. Most of them are ranked as 4-star or higher. I was trying to find Jordan Love. And again, there's a ton of 3-stars. So if I can use a search engine, maybe, let me try that. Let me go Jordan Love here. Because I really want to know that. I think that would be cool to see where he ranked. Golly, man, they make the search engine difficult. Holy cow. 10,000 results found. Search by name. There's got to be a way of doing it here. But here we go. Let's see. Jordan.
I'd be interested in the future too if we could look at where specifically the defense projections are for this upcoming year, because I think that usually the Badgers are consistently a really solid defense, which again, if we could just figure out a way to get some sort of talent at quarterback, more of an athlete, I guess, than, like I said, just that stick figure pocket passer. I just feel like the team is so well-rounded usually. And if you are starting to get some of these better, like I said, wide receiver playmakers, oh, there we go. We got her. Bakersfield, California.
Yeah, check this out, man. So it shows where he was drafted, obviously. I was trying to look at the actual recruiting because I think they update that. 3-star with an 80 grade. Nationally, he was the 1,642nd prospect ranked. He was the 92nd best quarterback that year that he came out and got recruited to go to college. That is absolutely wild, man.
Yeah.
And some people go, well, isn't that a bad thing? Not necessarily. What you got right here is you talk about an underdog story. This is a dude who had to work for every single thing he's gotten. And then he gets drafted by the Packers and he has to sit behind Aaron for 3 years. Yeah. Like, I don't know, man. You want to know why Jordan's the leader he is? And all the stuff that we constantly talk about, how his teammates love him. He just got that natural leadership. This dude had to earn it every step of the way. That's wild, man. That is absolutely wild.
That's crazy.
Jordan Love, your starting quarterback for your Green Bay Packers, about to get $50+ million per year on his contract, was the 1,642nd ranked prospect nationally going into college. So cool stuff. All right. You ready to get out of here, Jacob?
Yep. I got to get to work.
Oh, man, that sucks, dude. I got to go out here and do some work too, though. I'm smoking ribs right now. We're about 3 hours in. So got a couple racks of ribs on the smoker. My brother's coming up, spend the day with us. So I got to get out here and get some stuff straight. Mandy's probably got me a honey-do list a mile long right now waiting downstairs. So there you go. Appreciate you hanging out, though, Jake. This was fun, man. You see what we're saying? Have no problem filling airtime. So much to talk about. It's wild.
It's a lot.
So maybe we just need to key in on Wisconsin. That would be the fun way to do it. Let's just key in on Wisconsin Badgers and really talk about that program and anything else that everybody else mentions in the chat. But nonetheless, appreciate everybody hanging out with us. We had a bunch of people in here on Rumble this morning. I didn't expect that. Got 106 on Twitter watching. Really appreciate y'all hanging out with us, talking a little college ball. We'll be back tonight, 7 p.m. Central Time for PTA Live, talking Packers. We may go ahead and break down the Tampa game because we've kind of deep dove a couple things we wanted to look into, got that taken care of. So we'll go ahead and finish the season out with some of these highlights and talk about what happened, why did it happen, that type of thing. So, Jake, appreciate your time, man. You have a great day. Hell, I can get you to say it this time. Will you help me out?
I thought it was you listening on the pod.
Why did it sound like a why did it sound like a Southern female that time? But that was you listening on the pod. My God. It made me think of The Office. What was the name of that chick that came in and took over?
Joe. Yeah.
Yeah, Joe, right? Joe from Sabre.
Y'all have a June bug
on a Mississippi tree. All right. Y'all have a great day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world, and go Pack Go.